Hi, so what I'd like to talk about in this video is integrating yourself into a new raid team, something I've done recently, doing at the moment as well. You will have done some fights already if this is mid-tier, and now you're going to do it in a raid group who may do things differently. In fact, we'll probably do some things differently, even if it's only subtly different, which could affect you. They might be further ahead, in which case you might be doing fights that they've had a lot of pulls on and done it successfully a few times, and it's completely new for you, and that brings its own challenges as well. So what are the stages you have to go through when you're preparing for these fights? If you're joining a serious raid guild, the one thing you mustn't do is just go in and YOLO it. Just go in and think, okay, well, I'm the new guy, they're going to let me off in the first week. Yes, they're going to be a bit more forgiving in the first week, but you need anything that you could have prepared for, you do need to prepare for. So what are the stages of preparation for the different raid fights? Well, you'll know which fights they have on farm, which ones they'll have on easy farm, which one's more difficult farm, and you'll also know which fights they're still progressing on, if they still are at this point of the tier. So your preparation effectively for the bosses the guild has already killed are in three main parts, what I call preparation, execution, and analysis. The preparation is in three main parts. You have to avoid doing something wrong, don't you? That's what you want to do. Ultimately, avoid doing something wrong. So you have to ask yourself these questions. How can I die on this fight? Secondly, how can I kill someone else? Another no-no. And thirdly, how can I fail on a mechanic? Particularly a mechanic that will either mean lots of other people have to rush to cover for you, or it could end up in a wipe. When it comes to the execution, you have to be aware of what little jobs you could have to do that you might not know about in advance. On some fights there are interrupts, for example. Now maybe in your last guild you were in the interrupt rotation. Maybe you won't be this time. Generally speaking, they'll tend to ask people who have been doing it in that guild anyway. You might get away with it, but you might not. Or you might be asked to do something that you didn't do in your previous guild, and you might not find this out until you're actually there ready to pull on the boss, and you just get told, oh, by the way, you're doing this. So be aware of the little jobs you may have to do, even if you haven't done them before. Also be alive to the timings of things, like when the ring is popped may not be the same as when it was in your previous guild, for example. All these sort of things, and cooldowns as well. Even if you've sort of looked at kill videos and looked at logs and you've got a rough idea of how they do the fight, certain things you may not have picked up on, and you have to be alive to it and be able to adapt quickly in that situation. And then the final thing is analysis. When you've done your first week, yes, you know, you might do well, you might not do not so well. The key thing is, though, what they'll be looking for is that you improve in your second week. So you'll need to go through your logs, see where you went well, keep doing that. See where you could have improved things, keep doing that. See where you cock things right up, and make sure you absolutely nail it the following week. And I'm going to be looking at my own logs for the Ret specific one video this week. Hopefully a bit later today, but it might take another day or two before I can get that out there. So keep an eye out for that, because I'm going to go through the analysis of my first raid with these guys. Okay, so let's look at the individual fights. Now, the other thing you'll need to bear in mind is, with each given fight, is how experienced are you on that fight? Because the more experienced you are, the more comfortable with it you are, the less likely you are to fail to something really silly. And the other thing is, how easy is that guild finding it? Okay, so on Hellfire Assault, when I go through my preparations type thing, I ask myself, how can I die? I really wouldn't think there's a high likelihood of me dying at all. The shockwave type abilities, you're not under pressure, you're not going to have to get caught standing in any of these sort of transport bombs that are arriving, or the shockwave type abilities. Things are dying quite quickly, and I've also experienced that as well. So chances are very slim. How can I kill someone else? Again, I'm not doing anything that's likely to result in someone dying. I have to make sure I focus on berserkers and the thingies that do the metamorphosis. I keep forgetting what they're called now, those things. I have to make sure that they die in a timely manner, but again, everyone's on those and everyone's doing a lot of DPS to them, and this is a very simple fight for this guild and for me personally as well. So I'm not going to kill anyone else. How can I fail on mechanics? I'm not really doing any mechanics. I'm just focusing priority targets. So I'm not transporting the ammo. I'm not marking targets for destruction. So there isn't any realistic way. So this is a fight where it's just getting it out of the way. There's nothing particularly challenging about this for either the guild I've just joined or for myself as well. Iron Reaver. Now, although this is an early boss and an easy boss for the guild I'm joining, this is a different kettle of fish for me. I actually haven't done Iron Reaver that much. I did the progress on it in the guild I originally progressed on this. But haven't done very much because it's not a boss that I needed loot off, really. I got the loot I needed off it very quickly, so I've often sat out on it. And so there are a few things to bear in mind. But the first thing I'll go over is how can I die? Well, I can die in the air phase if it gets to the air phase. In this particular guild, we were trying to kill it before it got to the air phase, but it did go there. I could not pay attention to bombs I'm targeting and jump on a reactive bomb without a cooldown or something silly like that. I can get too close to someone who's targeted for the strikes. I could stand in fire especially while the pound thing is going on. But realistically, I'm not going to do any of those things, and I have cooldowns if I get myself in a sticky situation. How can I kill others? Well, again, there's nothing I'm particularly doing on this that's likely to kill others. If I see that a bomb is getting quite close and it's not being dealt with, I could try and call it out, but so could many others. So again, low probability there. How can I fail mechanics? Again, there aren't really too many mechanics for me. As a melee, it's easy to move out the way of things like the barrage. And when he does the charge, I just need to be aware of that and be outside of his hitbox. So, and again with the bombs, just do what I can. But you know, it's very difficult for melee to move around those. You just do what you can in the air phase. So not really going to do badly on mechanics on this one either. So again, taking context, this fight for me is quite easy. For the guild I'm in, it's very easy as well. So Cormrock. So how can I kill myself? I could get caught in pound and stack on someone else. Number two, how can I kill someone else? Same thing, could get caught on pound. The other thing I can do to screw other people over is on Mythic Cormrock, of course, you've got to soak a little area when he jumps into a pool. I could fail to soak my area. So here I'm going to stud him. There's mine. So if I forgot which one I was in because I wasn't paying attention, I could mess someone up or something like that. Because obviously if you reduce the amount of space you've got to stand in, especially on pound, it all compounds on pound, where people have to be able to spread out, or where the waves come in. How can I fail on mechanics? Well, I could have been miles away from everyone else when those dragging hands came in, so that I couldn't get broken out. Or there's nothing else I can really do on this fight, really wrong. You know, when the explosive runes, the empowered explosive runes particularly appear, I could sort of knock into one and be pointed in completely the wrong direction and send it where it doesn't want to be. So actually, yeah, that's something you have to watch out for. Make sure you're facing towards the centre if you're going to get close to any of those or anything like that. Beyond that, nothing else really. It's mostly a case of the biggest danger is killing someone else with pound, because you know, when I'm in a group where I've been doing it week on week, I have my particular position. You all sort of work out your positions for pound. Okay, I'm going to stand there and you'll stand there, and you work it all out. Whereas here, I don't know where everyone else is going to be standing. I don't know where is the place that I can stand, so I have to work all that out. And it is possible I sort of overlap on someone quickly while I find my position. I can see runes are about, and I'm just sort of keeping a weather eye on it, ready to face there. And then pound, you can see on my mini radar. I know I'm not next to anyone else. But if I was, I'd have to be a bit lively there. And that's it really for Cormrock. So again, you look at the personal aspect. For me personally, Council is a bit more of a danger area. It's an early boss, but it's not one I have a lot of experience on. I didn't do the progress on it in the guild I was in at the time because I was about to go on holiday. And also, Retribution are not absolutely brilliant on this as well. Which means that I haven't actually done it that much. And coupled with the fact it didn't really have loot for me. Again, I got the loot I needed from it very early. So again, I was an obvious candidate just to sit out and let other people who did need loot off it. So how can I die on this? Well, the main danger would be from mirror images. going too far out on that one. Also, when the shadow ads come from Dark Whisper going across the room, again, getting caught by those is a potential cause of death there. How can I kill others? Having Mark of the Necromancer when Reap comes in and staying where I am instead of moving out. So obviously I need to make sure that I keep a very careful eye on when Reap's coming. I can see Reap's coming at the moment. I know my boss mods, I'm fairly confident my boss will warn me, but especially when you move to a new server, sometimes it just doesn't quite behave as you would. So I'm getting out nice and early to make sure that I'm not going to drop Reap somewhere I shouldn't. Of course, part of the preparation for this, I looked at the kill video to see where Reap is actually dropped. Not all guilds will drop it in the same place. You must know where it is going to be dropped. And again, in terms of how you fail on mechanics, well, if you get the fell rage and you get the aggro, don't run away like a little girl. Make sure you pop all your cooldowns and beast the hell out of it. But beyond that, there isn't a lot to do. As a retribution, I just have to be aware not to use Hand of Sacrifice because it has a dispel mechanic, which will cause an awful lot of trouble if used on someone with Mark of the Necromancer. Beyond that, there isn't a lot I personally can do. I just have to make sure I survive, don't drop Reap in the raid, and apart from that, that's much as I would be expected to do realistically. So Kilrog, again, not a difficult boss, a nice early boss, but again one that different guilds do in different ways. So how can I die on this one? Very unlikely to, it has to be said. I am very unlikely to die. How can I kill someone else? Well, I need to make sure I can interrupt the ad, make sure that doesn't do ridiculous damage. Other than that, I'm not, again, likely to kill someone else, as long as I don't taunt or do something silly like that. But again, I have my taunt not keybound on a fight where I'm not expected to use it specifically to avoid little accidents like that. How can I fail on mechanics? Well, this is a fight where, see, I didn't realise it at the time. They get the melee to stack on those little things so you don't get the blood spawning. In the guild I progressed on this, we didn't do that. We just had the range kill the bloods. So you just need to be alive to that. That's a little example of an execution type thing. Be aware of the different ways that guilds could do it. Didn't spot that on the kill video. But, you know, once it's said once, then I know that ever after, when those ads go off, I need to go and stand in that pool. Okay. But other than that, because I'm not going in, I'm not assigned to the visions, as I'd be very unlikely to, new person on the raid anyway. But just bear in mind when the cooldowns are, I know that when these people come out, then the ring's going to be popped. And I need to make sure I've got cooldowns ready for it and all the rest of it. Make sure I've got defensive for this bit. And as a Retribution Paladin, just be alive. If someone asks for a bop to remove their debuff from the Heartseeker thing, just be clear on who's asking for it. You can see the debuffs on the UI there anyway, but if you're in any doubt, just ask for a repeat of the name if you are not at all sure. Other than that, that's it for Kilrog. Okay, so Gorefiend, number of things. Now, how can I kill myself? Well, I could stand in Doom for too long, so I want to avoid that. How else can I kill myself? Any number of ways. I could stand in all sorts of bad. How can I kill others? By not carrying out the mechanics. So I'm going to go straight to 3 with this one, because it's all about mechanics. What do I need to do? I've just got the Shadow of Death debuff there, so I had to know that to stand in the middle there. There's no mark for there, because everyone knows where to stand. If I get Doom, I need to move myself out to the sides. I mustn't get those two mixed up. Obviously, I'm going to have alerts for both those things. I have to know the difference between when I've got the Shadow of Death and when I've got the Mark of Doom. Because if you stand in the middle with Mark of Doom, you're screwing everyone else over. If you move out to the sides when you've got Shadow of Death, you're making it very difficult for others. You'd certainly need to communicate. I know that as melee, I need to be on that Shadow there. With Shared Fate, we know that we have to run in to that other person, but this is just knowing the mechanics. In terms of specific ways that the guild might do it differently, obviously I need to know which side the tanks are going to be on. You can see here with Doom, I mentioned this in the video on Gorefiend, I'm just stepping in there so that I overlap Dooms rather than just put the whole floor awash with it. I know that where possible, I need to not attack the souls, so watch out with my cleave, because other people are controlling those, just stay away from them. But at the same time, if I see a construct, especially on high health near me, just tickle away at its health like that. The other key thing would be when feasts occurs. because you need to soak you need to collapse one of the souls there. Just shared fate there, just run quickly to it. That's just standard. Just having to wait for that other person to get there. Yeah, dealing with the collapsing the souls, there'll be a little order to do it. So you need to be able to sort of keep attacking the boss while keep looking behind you. So when it's your turn to go out and soak, that you're able to do that. And obviously make sure you're saving your cooldowns. So because this is really a boss where any little thing, any little failure on the mechanics is going to kill other people, and it is ultimately going to wipe the raid. Same thing when you're in the belly, making sure that you're taking health off the constructs and nibbling away at all of them rather than letting one go through on high health and killing another is very often the best. So you can see I'm just sort of looking around here so that when my turn gets called out to take a soul, I can go and get one quickly. There we go, done, back in. And that's it for Gorefiend, but that's a trickier one than most. Now, Iskar is one that I got totally confused about with the way that this skill does it, and I'll be going in this one in a bit more detail when I do my own analysis. But ultimately, think about the things that can kill you is mostly other people. So I'm going to go straight to how can you kill others. Well, I got Fel Chakram there. Not moving far enough away is going to obviously damage everyone in melee there. So I had to know in advance. Part of my preparation is, and I asked this, where do I go with Chakram? Absolutely key. You can see I'm using Exhaustive Raid Tools if I get the eye there so that I can pass it on to someone else. You need to know, especially for the transition phase, who needs it passing to deal with the bomb. So which healer is going to do that? It's not always easy to see on the Exhaustive Raid Tool, so you look in advance for where these people are positioned, so you're not having to, you know in advance where you're going to take it to. See a fair amount of damage done there. Chakram wasn't moved out as far as it could have been. You need to know how the transition being done. I mean, look, this is what caught me out completely. We've got the Phantasmal Resonance here, nowhere near the other ads. That surprised the hell out of me. So I'll be definitely thinking of this one again when I get closer in terms of the mechanics. But as I say, in terms of the mechanics I have to focus on, it's making sure I know where I'm going with Fel Chakram. Making sure I'm aware of when Dark Bindings are cast, because that can very much affect me. Also, make sure I know what the priority targets are here, because it's Talon Priest, as it always would be. But on subsequent turns with this particular guild, they want to kill the Talon Priest first as well. You know, if I have Dark Bindings, making sure that I'm not going to stack on anyone else with Dark Bindings or make it difficult for other people to move around me. Make sure that I am able to pass on the eye very quickly and to the correct person if ever I get it. And these are the key things. Sokrathar, how can I kill myself? Again, it's a fight I'm reasonably comfortable with. I'm not likely to kill myself at all with any of the things that could realistically kill me, like, you know, getting a double reverberating blow or something like that. How can I kill others? Well, there is the possibility here. I need to know in advance. I did ask in advance, where do I bait the charge if I get charged? Fortunately, I don't like getting charged. Other than that, very unlikely. As long as if I'm in the interrupt rotation, that I am able to make sure that I can either get the interrupt off when I need to, or be able to call it out well in advance if I'm not going to be able to do it for some reason. I wasn't in the interrupt rotation on this one, as expected. When you're a new person, they probably have people who are used to doing the interrupts, but still cover. So again, part of the execution there is making sure you can cover. How can you fail on mechanics on this thing? Not bursting down the Dominators well enough. Dominators need to die really quickly so you can get back onto interrupting the boss. If the ad in this first phase is going to spawn in melee, you just need to be alive to that and move out the way of it, so it's fine on this one. It's a nice transition there. Just be aware of the ad as well. You might, in theory, get called to do a stun on the ad when it gets to half health, so it doesn't heal itself up. Again, you're unlikely to be asked to do that when you're new in the raid group, but it is a possibility, so bear that in mind. But I mean, Sokrathar, you just have to know the basics really with this one, which is if you get onto the Dominator quickly. If you're on if you get targeted by the ghosty things, to make sure that they're being kited through the fire that's been made by the construct. If you're ranged and you're going to get those things around you, these green circles, move out the way so you're not overlapping on anyone. The usual sort of things really. Nothing really to this for me personally anyway. It's a fight I'm comfortable with. It's a fight this guild's comfortable with. Yes, there are things that can go wrong if you're not quite focusing on it, but in general, I didn't foresee it as a big danger of a fight. So, Tyrant Velhari, onto one of the more difficult ones, especially for melee. How can I kill myself? Well, I could be stood on someone else's Infernal Tempest, the searing blaze that they leave behind. That could kill me. I could move around too much. I could get caught in someone else's Annihilating Strike and take unnecessary damage there. I could not be in the right position when other people have got fonts and I'm too close to them when I haven't got font. I could stand in despoiling ground too much. So there are things to kill me on this one. So the key thing is knowing where to stand and knowing where to think. You can see here on my screen I'm getting spammed with this absorb text in the middle of my screen. It did this on the last server I was on as well, and hopefully it will go away, it will settle itself down. It seemed to on the last one, but I haven't deliberately got that turned on. That's just happening. It's really annoying. Now, I mean, to help me with the Infernal Tempest is I sort of want to know where other people are going to be. Again, unless there are positions assigned, and there weren't on this particular one, you just need to get a feel for where other people prefer to be and try and be in the gap. So in the first raid, it's quite tricky. I'm going to have a little, there's going to be more shuffling about than I would normally do, because I'm not quite sure where everyone else is going to be, and positioning is so crucial on this fight. In terms of how I can kill others, well, it's the same thing. I could misbehave with my Infernal Tempest and move them around unnecessarily. I could get targeted with Annihilating Strike and run around like an headless chicken. I could get font and not move to where I'm supposed to move. I could run ahead of the tanks in the final phase and get despoiled ground where other people are wanting to move to. So there are certainly also ways to get others killed as well if I'm not totally comfortable. Fortunately, I was reasonably comfortable with this fight. It was just being alive to the different ways people do it. In terms of execution, knowing when ring's going to be popped. So I got a lot of things wrong in this fight because I wasn't quite au fait with that. There you go. I've stood in someone's Infernal Strike there. Again, that bloody text in the middle. It caused me to stop looking in that part of the screen, really. Which is a bit fatal there. So here I'm sort of clocking where everyone's moved to. Cooldowns in this one, they used the ring on the pull and the ring at 3 minutes. Didn't really appreciate that at the time. So that was a failure of prep there, which meant that I wasn't quite sure when it was being used, which meant I was not using my cooldowns as effectively as they should have been. So I've got font there, I know to move there. That's a standard part of the fight. Nothing that's guild specific about that, so knew what to do there. And in terms of the rest of the fight, again, it was fine. For me personally, it was mainly when do I use those cooldowns and the Infernal Tempest, just making sure that one, I'm in clear space myself, but secondly, that I'm not sort of kiting it all over other people. The only other thing, I mean, I could have potentially had the job of interrupting on this fight. Again, was probably unlikely to, because they usually have people who would be used to doing that. So there you can see the ring's been popped. I've not got my cooldowns properly ready for it because I didn't fully appreciate when it was ready. So next time I will know, and I will plan a bit better on the cooldowns on that one. Fel Lord has the potential to be quite tricky, but the fortunate thing is when you're in a guild that have killed it a long time ago, they'll probably be used to killing it quite quickly, and it gets much harder later on, and it's sort of time based. So if you're able to kill it before, say, the 5th set of swirly things, keep forgetting what they're called, rumbling fissures, then you're probably in good shape. And that was certainly expected here. But that doesn't mean to say it's not fraught. So how can I kill myself? Well, I could get the debuff because I'm soaked to rumbling fissure and then get hit by wake or get hit by anything else like that. How can I kill others? I could have befouled and not move away from others. So in advance, I need to know, okay, where did foul people move? I could get stuck in capitation, kill myself. But again, I'm alive to that. Execution, new little task. I had a new little task in this one, which is to soak the second set of rumbling fissures and go inside there. Something I'd not done before, although the first and the second one are relatively straightforward. So there's no big deal with this one. I wasn't expecting anything too difficult. I knew in advance where I was supposed to head over, so I'm just about to do that now, I think. But I was reasonably confident of this, even though I'd never done it before, because again, you know, even if you still prepare for things that you just might have to do. So I'm keeping an eye on my timing there. Jump over that. I'm not sure if I did that or not. Not very well. Then use my cooldown at the right time. This is the interrupt group. And there we go. And then from this point on, my focus is essentially on burning down the boss. Again, this raid group is able to polish off the ads quite well. I'm in position ready for Seeds of Destruction. Once I know I'm not getting the seeds, I'm getting ready to cover the pillar so that the wakes don't hit that without die. I don't want to take too many. Again, Seeds of Destruction coming back up. Just make sure I'm in position. I know that my name is quite late in the alphabet, so I'm going to get the ones that are nearer sort of the green and moon marker in all likelihood. So again, just covering a bit of that. Ooh. Lay on hands there. Now at this point it got a little bit messy. There was a bit of confusion even within the raid group as to exactly when we're going to use the ring. So there was again, just in terms of the execution, just be a bit alive to changing situations. I think I ended up using the ring at this point because we weren't quite sure when the best point to use it was. But you can see the boss's health is going down quite a lot.
Yeah, we're not going to last 40. We will die. We used everything in the previous ones. You need to fucking kill it.
I don't have cooldowns, so use the ring when you have cooldowns.
Well, apparently we're not, so let's just try and survive.
Just ended up using it in the end. Burn it down. You can see here that, okay, these wakes have not been ideally dealt with. A few people have died as a result of that. This is always a danger, especially with this fight, because when you're killing it a bit quicker each week, the timing sort of get thrown out because all the abilities happen on a time-based thing, not a percentage-based thing, apart from in phasing on 30%. So sometimes you have to be a bit alive to changing the way you'd normally do it. It's not one where it's like a routine kill. You do it the same way each time at all. So okay, so that's the sort of process that I went through to prepare for those bosses. Obviously, I prepared for the other ones as well, but these are the ones I was in on the first raid night. And, you know, they were all bosses I'd killed before, so I was reasonably comfortable with those bosses, just not necessarily the way the guilds did it. So hopefully that's instructive. That's, you know, if you're in the same sort of position where you're moving from one raid group to another, maybe go through the same process yourself. It is useful, and write yourself little notes. And as I say, if you want to be serious, especially if you want to step it up and you want to get yourself into much more serious raid guilds, you do want to go through a process, because you don't just want to go into the first reset and YOLO it, because you are likely to go wrong. Make sure you do what preparation you can, and anything else you get caught out for, there'll be relatively few things, and you can just sort of go with that on the fly. Make sure you communicate if you're not sure about something, and you know, at least try not to kill anyone else if you have to die yourself. Okay, until next time though, I'll see you later.